It is morning, and two people are standing in front of two open closets. The first reaches for the loud jacket, the color you could spot across a parking lot, the logo you can read from the street, the watch that catches the light. The second reaches for the plain gray tee, the muted coat, the no-name everything, quiet on purpose. And you already have a story about both of them. The loud one is showing off, trying too hard. The plain one is boring or a little smug. Or flip it, depending on your crowd. The loud one has nerve, the plain one gave up. So let me say this right at the start. Neither of these people is shallow, and neither is deeper than the other. This was never about taste, and it was never about vanity. Both of them are running the exact same ancient program, an instrument 200,000 years old, just pointed in opposite directions. So here is the real question, hiding in front of both closets. What is that program actually doing? And why can you not turn it off? To answer that, we have to go back, because once you see the instrument under both choices, you cannot unsee it in any outfit again. To see what is really going on in front of those closets, we go back a long way. Long before malls, before brands, before a stranger's outfit was something your brain met 100 times a day. Picture your ancestors in one small band, on open ground. You lived your whole life inside one group, on the order of 150 faces, the same people from your first day to your last. No strangers streaming past, no exit, just these faces, for life. And in that world, how you looked was not decoration. It was information. At a glance, your band could read who was skilled, who was doing well, who had resources to spare, and whose people you were. And it had to be honest, because everyone knew you, and your display got checked against your real life every single day. Now here is the trick evolution used to keep it honest. Think of a peacock. That enormous tail is a burden. It costs energy. It slows him down. It waves a flag at every predator. And that cost is the point. Only a genuinely strong bird can afford to drag it around and still survive. So the tail cannot lie. The expense is what makes it believable. Now bring that back to your ancestors. The rare feathers, the ochre paint, the shells traded from 3 valleys over, the pelt that took real skill and danger to get. Every one of those cost something. Time, skill, risk, resources. And that cost was the honesty. You cannot fake an expensive signal cheaply. So loud display quietly said something true. I have enough to spare. But here is the part people miss. Restraint was a signal too. The person secure right at the top did not have to shout. Understatement said its own quiet thing. I do not need to prove anything to you. So plain was never the absence of a signal. It was the other half of the instrument. And dress did one more job. It marked whose you were. The paint, the pattern that told the whole valley, at a glance, these are my people. The brain that could send all of this and read it back off others out-survived the brain that could not tell friend from stranger. So we are the children of the signalers, the loud and the quiet both. But that instrument was built for one small world that quietly disappeared. So we have to see what took its place. So take that instrument, 200,000 years old, built for 150 faces who knew you your whole life and could check every display against your real one, and drop it, unchanged, into a city of strangers, a mall of brands, and a feed of billions. And 3 things break at once. The first is the audience. The signal was built to update your standing with people who know you. Now it fires at strangers who never will, at people who cannot check it against anything. So the old job just cannot happen. It goes off into the void. The second thing to break is the honesty. For the first time in human history, you can buy the display without having the thing it used to prove. The logo, the knockoff, the leased car, the rented look. The ancient guarantee was simple. Expensive equals real. because you could not fake the cost. Now the cost is fakeable, so the whole thing leaks, and everyone gets a little suspicious of everyone's flash. And the third thing to break is the volume. Brands and algorithms reverse-engineered this exact system long ago. And now they spend billions aiming it straight at you, manufacturing status displays by the million, selling your own identity back to you at a markup. So the loud dresser and the plain dresser are not clashing over taste. They are two honest, ancient strategies, broadcast and withhold, both fired full blast in a room built to distort them. And then culture hands out shame in both directions. Shallow if you shout, invisible if you do not. Two verdicts where there should be zero. But that is only half the story. Because when scientists put this under a microscope, what they find is stranger still. So here is what almost everyone gets wrong. They think the loud dresser and the plain dresser are two different kinds of person, one shallow, one deep. But that is not it. Watch. Start with the instrument itself. In 1975, the biologist Amos Zahavi, in the Journal of Theoretical Biology, laid out the founding idea of costly signaling. A signal is believable precisely because it is expensive. The peacock's tail is honest, exactly because a weak bird could never carry it. He called it the handicap principle. And for years, a lot of scientists thought it was too good to be true. So did somebody check? In 1990, Alan Graffin, again in the Journal of Theoretical Biology, built a formal mathematical model of it and proved this kind of honest, costly signaling really can hold as a stable strategy. So this is not a just-so story. The logic under your closet survived an actual proof. Now here is the double twist, the part that should make your skin prickle. The first twist you have. Loud and plain are not two kinds of people. They are one signaling system running two strategies. But the deeper truth is the one that stings. The honesty guarantee has quietly broken. The whole thing only worked because an expensive signal could not be faked. But in a world where you can buy the signal, detached from the substance, the flash no longer means what it evolved to mean. So we are all firing a signal that has been hollowed out. Which is why modern status, on both sides, feels so strangely anxious. And the human evidence lines up. Back in 1899, the social theorist Thorstein Veblen gave this a name. Not a study, a concept, from his book on the leisure class. He called it conspicuous consumption, spending whose whole point is to be seen. So we did not just notice flashy dress recently. Somebody named it over a century ago. Then the labs caught up. In 2011, in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, a team led by Jill Sunday tested showy spending as a real signal. Switch on certain motives and people displayed more. And observers decoded it. The flash was a message with a sender and a receiver. An honest note. That was primed lab work, so it is one driver, not the only one. Not every flashy outfit is a mating call. Then it gets concrete. Also in 2011, in the journal Evolution and Human Behavior, Rob Nellison and Marine Myers changed one thing. A luxury brand label on otherwise identical clothes. The person wearing the logo got treated better. Higher status, more help, more successful in an interview. A real payoff from a single stitched label. An honest caveat. Later work found these effects real but smaller and patchier. So a luxury signal can shift how strangers treat you, but not everywhere. Still, that is why the loud strategy survives. Sometimes it pays. And one last piece, the one that dissolves the two types trap. In 2007, again in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, Vladas Griskovicius and his colleagues showed display is a dial, not a fixed type. Switch the situation, and the same person turns it up or down. So nobody is simply a flashy person or a plain person for all time. Which raises the question this has been building to. What do you do with a signal that is honest, ancient, and now aimed at strangers through a guarantee that broke? Okay, deep breath with me. Because I do not want you to walk away with the wrong lesson. So let me draw a clear line. This does not mean clothes do not matter, or that you should feel nothing about how you look. Caring about it is human. And this is a lens, not a law. Taste, culture, comfort, budget, mood, plain old habit, all of that is real too, and often it is the bigger reason you grabbed what you grabbed. Nobody can read your soul off your jacket. What this lifts is only the shame and the moral story that never fit either of them. Because the loud dresser is not shallow, and the plain dresser is not superior. They are two honest strategies inside one very old system, both aimed at the same two things every human wants: to belong and to matter. Same instrument, opposite ends of one dial. So what do you actually do? Not stop signaling. You cannot. It is standard issue human equipment, and it is not the enemy. You just see the instrument. The next time you catch yourself judging someone's outfit, too flashy, too basic, trying too hard, given up, or the next time you feel judged for yours, you name it, quietly. That is the signaling system, built for a band of 150, firing at strangers. Loud or plain, we are both running it. And do not just swap one signal for the other. Dressing plainer to look deep is just the other broadcast, and buying the logo to feel like somebody, well, the guarantee is broken, so strangers cannot really verify you anyway. It is a spectrum, not two boxes. The same person is loud at the wedding and plain on a Tuesday. There never was a shallow team and a deep team. Because that whole story, the flashy one is showing off, and the plain one is above it all, was never the truth about either of them. They are two people running the same ancient instrument, one that once told a whole band at a glance who was doing well and whose people you were. And now it is firing at strangers who will never know you through brands that learn to fake the cost at a volume the algorithm keeps cranking. So you can put the moral story down. Nobody here is shallow, and nobody here is empty. You are wearing your ancestors either way, talking with your clothes, in a room they were never built to stand in. So send this to two people. Send it to the friend who dresses loud, the one you tease for the logo and the flash. And send it to the one who swears, up and down, that they do not care about clothes at all. Tell them both the same thing. You are not shallow, and you are not invisible. You are both in the same picture, running the same beautiful old code.